Second behind Luxembourg. Luxembourg were outside the top dozen this morning, with Switzerland, after two riders being up in the mix in 11th. But as I say, that was breathing down the necks of Portugal and Belgium for those Olympic qualifying places. We carry on here with the Grand Prix at Riesenbeck with the final team rider for Norway. Now, as a three-member team, Norway haven't really come into contention here this week, so this again is going to be about improving the standard, improving the experience of the Norwegian team riders, and potentially getting on the path to being an individual contender at the Paris Olympic Games, hoping to pick up one of those regional individual places. Norway's Isabel Friese and Total Hope by Totilas out of the Blue Horse sire, a mare by the Blue Horse sire, Don Schufro.
I think you said it yesterday, John. Every rider comes in with their own individual goals and hopes, and whether that be results orientated, whether that be that they want to come in and take the gold medal, or whether that be that they come in and they want to get their best results in the half passes, because that's what they've been working on. Every single rider has their own individual goals when they're coming into these championships, and that's so important to remember.
Actually, the hidden in the breeding here, because we don't name the mare, we name the dam sire. The mother here is Viagold, former Isabel Werth medalist and World Cup champion.
Yeah, it's certainly some breeding, isn't it? And you can see both the mare and the sire very much stamped on this horse. Just needs to sustain the bend in those half passes, but really, really super crossing. I wonder if she was bred via embryo transfer. He was bred via embryo transfer. It's so great that these top mares can carry on their competition success and be able to breed as well. Needs to keep that activity. You can see the balance just going a little bit onto the shoulder. Nicely uphill in the passage, and then just the balance tipping a little bit onto the shoulder into the piaffe. Just needed to have a little bit more lift. Totilas had such a super walk, and that's really shown here with this horse.
Yeah. You are dead right, by the way. Embryo transfer from Via. This boy is 11 years old, and of course we saw the creme de la creme of Via's career then in that period since he was born.
With such a big extended walk, it's so difficult when these horses have such a big overtrack. Sometimes the purity of the rhythm can go, and you can see that slightly in the collective walk. I was just about to say better in the piaffe, and then he just came back at her. That was such a shame. Started well in that first couple of steps, and then you could just see him drawing back. Lovely jump in the canter. Really good there in the frame. Super big, expressive changes, and really nice and straight. A little bit of swaying actually there towards the end of that diagonal line. But when those changes are so big and so expressive, you have to really keep that channel going forward. Beautifully ridden, and really maintained that extended canter right up until K and then prepared for the change. We've seen a lot of the riders, the extended canter has faded quite early on. Super lateral work here in the half passes. Lots of sideways steps, really good in the balance. Could have just been a little bit more uphill. And again, the same in these ones. Just dropping the pole slightly and the weight just a little bit too much on the forehand, but really, really secure, correct changes. Just not quite as expressive as we saw in the two-time changes where he was really covering the ground beautifully. Nice into the canter pirouette. Could have just been a bit more centered, slightly large. Still, the lift was there. Could have had just a little bit more bend through the pirouette to the right, and again just needed to be a bit more centered. Balance not quite as good in the pirouette to the right. Some good steps in the extended trot. Just got a little bit strong towards the end. You could really see her having to take that inside bend just to get the trot back. Super in the passage here. Needs to keep that activity and that forward thinking piaffe. Yeah, nicely on the spot. Obviously, they had that mistake in the second piaffe where he was just thinking a little bit backwards. Could have just been a little bit more off the ground in the piaffe if we're being fussy, but super work in the passage.
Well, what will that do for Norway? 73.7 as we leave the scoreboard, and maybe a point or two still to come for Isabel Friese and Total Hope, final rider for the three-member Norwegian team. Now, we already know that the score for the Grand Prix Special here is minimum 70.2%. In Hagen 2 years ago, it was 70.0. In Herning, it was 71.15. Last year's World Championships. So this is looking again like a very, very high scoring top 30. That is another one going inside the top 30, no doubt about that. Isabel Friese and Total Hope.
Yeah, for sure. There was some really, really smart work in there. I think if she could just get those canter pirouettes a little bit tighter, you can just see there the last step. She just needed to come round that one step more to finish those pirouettes off. But those two-time tempies were rather spectacular. And just that mistake in the reluctance in that second piaffe was a real pity.
74.084, 11th position in her own right for Isabel Friese. That is mathematically guaranteed to come back for the special.